back to the one, back to the simple test that reveals where you live this minute, your reaction. Faith is not a word. It is the silence in you when an appearance shouts. If you react to the appearance, you have silently consented to two powers. And if you do not react, if you neither fear, love, nor hate the picture, you are standing in the one. Do you see that? No man can serve two masters is not a moral lecture. It is a diagnosis of consciousness. If you are disturbed, you have chosen the wrong master. If you are quiet, you have no master but God. Be still and know that I am God. Not think God, know. And the knowing is in the stillness, not in the argument. Let us name the enemy now so we do not chase shadows. The enemy is not a person, not a condition, not a balance due or a diagnosis. The enemy is the ancient superstition of two powers, the belief that there is God and something else. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, one, not a superior force contending with an inferior force, one without opposite. When you react, you join the pantomime of opposites. When you refuse reaction, you quietly withdraw consent from the whole show. If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. The single eye sees presence, not pairs. It beholds the one and gives no law to appearances. So we refuse the battleground. Never enter the case humanly. Never desire to change appearances. All right? Resist not evil, said the Master. And he calmed storms, not by battling waves, but by revealing jurisdiction. Peace, be still. We do not go to God to get supply or to fix a body or to win an argument. Don't turn to God for anything. God is not a power that fixes other powers. God is presence, unnameable, unopposable, not captured by mind. Take no thought for your life. Nobody by taking thought can contact God. There must come a split second of silence in which the one is felt, and in that contact the appearance loses law, loses urgency, loses you. We will prove this, not by debate but by practice. We will audit money and expose where a second power sneaks in as fear or hope. We will audit health and see how germs and genetics borrow authority only from our consent. We will audit relationships and watch sides dissolve into identity. Each time, our work will be the same. Don't react. Don't personalize. Don't tinker. Stand still in the one and let principle, not personality, appear as harmony. For now, take this as your portable rule. The instant you feel a clutch, a flare, a sway stop, be still. Withdraw your curiosity from the picture. In that non-reaction, you bear witness that there is only one, and in that witness, the appearance finds no opponent, no host, no law. It is I, be not afraid. Now let us see how the machinery works, because it is simple, and because once you see it, you will not be fooled by the noise of it again. The belief in two powers breeds fear. Fear breeds separation. Separation breeds suffering. That is the loop, you see. The moment you accept that there is God and something else, you must begin to measure, to guard, to brace, because the else might get you. And the instant you brace, you step out of union and into self-defense, and self-defense is the birthplace of all the aches and the frictions and the quiet panics that we call life problems. Perfect love casteth out fear. And why? Because love recognizes no second power to fear. I am the Lord, and there is none else, is not poetry. It is the end of fear, because it is the end of rivalry. But notice the seduction. It rarely storms the front door as obvious evil. It arrives as devotion to good. We fear evil and cling to good, and in that clinging we slice reality into halves and set up a private altar to our preferred outcomes. No man can serve two masters. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. The mammon is not only money, it is any good we grasp to secure ourselves reputation, health as object, approval, even truth statements turned into charms. The ancient story names it the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The day we eat of that two-ness, we surely die, not in body necessarily, but in the sense of being cut off, separate, anxious, tallying. Do you see that? Our very love of good, when it is love of a side, is the soft glove of fear. Now, unmask the habit in the small hours of your day. We give power to money when the bank balance dictates our mood. We give power to germs when a draft across the neck writes tomorrow's symptoms in advance. We give power to markets, to supervisors, to a spouse's frown, to planetary forecasts, to our own hormones at 4 p.m. This is quiet idolatry. The first commandment stated it plainly, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Every time we say, "That thing made me," or "that one saved me," we bow to a second power. We are on the seesaw and we will be seasick as long as we stay there. There is an alternative, and it is not a counterforce. It is presence without opposite. Principle over personalities always. Not your boss, not the union, not the husband or the wife or the specialist or the trend line. Principle. In him we live and move and have our being. In that one being, there is no outside edge to fall off, no opposing jurisdiction to placate. Suffering, then, is an echo. It is the reverberation of our flirtation with two. Withdraw your consent, withdraw your reaction, and the echo dies out for lack of a wall to bounce from. All right, let us keep our eyes single and refuse the loop, and you will watch quietly how fear dissolves where rivalry never began. Now let us say the thing that shocks and, if you permit it, sets you free. God is not power. God is not mind as you think of mind, nor soul as you imagine soul. God is not a force that pushes on other forces. God is not even a better idea. Nobody knows what God is. I am that I am was all that could be said without lying. Do you see? The infinite cannot be poured into the thimble of concept. The moment you conceive God as a power, you have invented a rival to overcome, and you are right back in the fable of two. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. Not less darkness, not conquering darkness, no darkness at all. The one, then, is presence without opposite, isness without an edge, life being itself, with no second to threaten it or to rescue it. Like the sun, it does not fight shadows. It appears, and shadows are found to have no root. Where the one is realized, opposition does not surrender, it vanishes, because it was never constituted of law. Neither shall they say, "Lo here," or "Lo there," for, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom is not a fortress against enemies. It is the realization that there are no enemies in God, and therefore none in the identity that is of God. All right? Correct the approach at the gate. Do not turn to God to get things. Do not draft spirit to fix matter. Do not ask presence to take a side in your plan. Take no thought for your life. Why? Because the thought that drafts God is already the belief in two. God and the lack. God and the disease. God and the offender. Stand still. Refuse the transaction. Let the one be itself where you are. Before Abraham was, I am. Not I will be when this changes. I am. And that I am, supply is the activity of being. Health is the integrity of being. Harmony is the unmixed fact of being. Here is your measure where there is only one. There is nothing to fight, fear, love, or hate. Do you see that? If love or hate is rising toward an appearance, you have wandered into a divided theater. Step out. If fear or bravado is mounting, you have crowned a second power. Remove the crown by silence. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and bargain. Not be still and wait for a sign. Be still and know. Know what? That the one is, and where the one is realized, opposition cannot appear because it has no law, no life, no cause. In that knowing, not as words, but as presence felt, the case is dismissed without a trial. Now we practice. We take the middle path where we neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Not the pleasing picture, not the frightening one. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is not opinion, it is recognition. It recognizes one. And where one is recognized, there is nothing left to fear, to cling to, or to push away. Resist not evil, said the Master, which is not a call to passivity, but to jurisdiction. Do not set up a second power by wrestling it. All right. When the wind rises, we do not brace, we do not argue with the gust. We turn within to the still center and let the surface storm spend itself. Peace, be still. You see? Not make the waves obey me, but abide where waves have no law. Never enter the case humanly. Never. Do not take sides, not even the side that hires you, not even the side you love best in your own house, not even the side that wears the white hat in your imagination. Principle over personalities. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That is our only side, and it has no opponent. Refuse advice. Do not tell one how to behave, how to budget, how to treat the body, how to reply to the letter. That is to enter the arena of two and to crown the better gladiator. If spiritual harmony can only come by separation, let it. If it can only come by reunion, let it. We are not outcome managers. We are witnesses to one. When you feel the tug to prefer an ending, notice it, smile at it, and withdraw your consent. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in God, believe also in me. Me, not the person Jesus, but the I that is one with the Father, the identity in you that has no rival. Now the posture. Stop. Close the inner door. Enter into thy closet, if you like that language. Do not rehearse truth statements. They are good servants and poor masters. Let there be, if only for a split second, a naked stillness. No request. No bargain. No picture to keep or to fix. Be still and know that I am God. Know, not think. Often there will be no sensation at all, only a soft lessening of urgency. Stay there, a breath longer than your habit. Let the wave break and flatten without you holding it up. If a phrase rises of its own accord, I and my Father are one, let it pass through as a bird through open air. Do not catch it. And accept the test. Faith is not shouted, it is shown. No man can serve two masters, is heard in your nerves. The degree of non-reaction is the degree of realized faith. If you startle, if you flare, that is not failure, it is diagnosis. You have found the seam where you still believe in two. All right? Thank it for confessing. Turn back and be quiet again. Do not measure by whether the scene changes by sundown. Measure by whether you can sit in the same chair with it and keep your peace. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. When nothing offends, neither insult nor praise, you will know you are in the middle where one alone is, and where the storm, for lack of an adversary, dies of its own nothingness. Now let us audit money, because here the belief in two powers plays dress-up in ledgers and screens, and if you don't catch it, your pulse will obey the graph. Where? Today, did numbers move your nerves? Which figure wore the crown and told you what to feel the balance do, the client's delay, the boss's frown, the market's lurch? That is the spot. That tremor is your confession of a second power. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is not coins. It is the attribution of causation to anything outside the one. The moment you say, that number will make me, or that invoice can break me, you have bowed to an idol that cannot even stand upright without your fear to lean on. Impersonalize it at once. This is not your story. This is not your fault, nor your virtue, nor your past life math catching up with you. This is a universal belief. Economics is power, without law, without God, without cause. Do you see that? The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, and nowhere in that fullness is a spreadsheet that governs life. Money is a symbol. Useful as a postal stamp is useful. It is not the letter and never the sender. Presence is cause. Supply is the activity of that presence, the natural output of I am being itself. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and they are not on salary. Seek first the kingdom, the realization of one, and the forms we call supply appear as byproducts, not as masters. Now the inner move. A bill arrives, or a windfall be fair, and include the pleasant picture you see and you feel the surge to react, to chase, to cling, to scheme, to explain. Stop, enter your closet, not to make affirmations perform for you. We do not hire truth as a collection agency. Let there be a breath's naked stillness, and only if it rises of itself, let this pass through consciousness. Right now, I nullify any seeming effect from a universal belief of lack of dependence upon persons, numbers, seasons, markets. Then let even that go. The silver is mine and the gold is mine, saith the Lord, which means causation is mine, law is mine. You rest. Refuse to wrestle outcomes. Do not chase, do not resist, abide until right action appears without pressure. Sometimes the appearance rearranges, the check arrives, the order doubles, a new avenue opens, where yesterday there was a wall. Sometimes the outer waits and the inner loosens. The vice on your ribs releases. Peace enters first. That too is supply. Life supplying you with the atmosphere in which wise action can occur without strain. I have watched accounts clear, not by strategy, but by the quiet that stopped the whirring mind, and in the quiet the next step presented itself so gently it seemed inevitable. Cast the net on the right side, not of the boat but of consciousness, and you find and be scrupulous with windfalls. Do not love them as power. Do not hate their absence. Do not vow loyalty to the bucket and forget the well. My cup runneth over is not about cups. It is about the nature of source. Freely received, freely given, yes, but not to get. Give, because presence is natured to pour, and let the pouring determine its own route. All right, the test remains non-reaction. Numbers will rise and fall like tides. Let them. Keep your eyes single. Money has no power. Only presence is cause, and supply is the activity of that presence. Now let us audit health, and do not be afraid to look where the second power sneaks in wearing a white coat or a birthday candle. Where today did diagnosis feel like law to you? Where did a calendar date whisper jurisdiction, at this age this must occur, and you bowed a little? Where did a headline about contagion draft your nerves into its army? Where did a family story, your father had it, your grandmother had it, sound like scripture to you? That is the seam. No man can serve two masters. The instant a report, an age, a germ, a gene becomes master of your mood, you have invited a second power to sit at the table. All right? Name it, see it, and withdraw consent. Impersonalize at once. This is not your private flaw, not your personal guilt, not even your private virtue if you have enjoyed long stretches of wellness. This is a universal belief. Life and matter, matter at war with itself presenting as yours. Master, who did sin? This man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither. Do you see? He cut the cord to heredity as law. In the presence of one, infection and contagion have no law to support them. Age has no statute to enforce. Diagnosis has no decree to execute. The law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. Not a better law, conquering a worse law. One law recognized, and the imitation loses voice. Now cease the fight. Do not war with symptoms. Do not prod. Do not test the wind every 10 minutes to see if it still blows. Who by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? You will not add a minute to your span by anxious engineering, and you will not restore order by hating disorder. Stop. Enter your closet. Be still, naked of request. If it rises of itself, let it rise. Right now, I withdraw any consent from a universal belief in contagion, heredity, senescence, and fatal decree. Then let even that go. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and heal. Be still and know. Often the first healing is the falling away of fear. And when fear falls, order, governance has room to reveal itself without your mind shoving furniture around. I have sat through nights with fevers and afternoons with trembling hands, and the temptation was always to advise the body to bargain with God, to quote louder. But the answer came in a hush, so small the clock seemed impertinent. It is I. Be not afraid. Sometimes the number on a thermometer quieted swiftly. Sometimes it waited, and peace arrived first. Yet, when peace had jurisdiction, the body followed suit without drama. Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Do you see? Not virtue points earned, but non-reaction to the picture faith shown as quiet. As for age, let us not surrender the temple to a calendar. He satisfieth thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. Moses' eye was not dim because he had a secret diet. It was testimony that age as law has no foothold in one. So we end where we began. The body is not a battleground between powers. Refuse the arena. Keep your eye single. Let the hush come. Let life govern its own form without your supervision. Why art thou cast down, O my soul? Hope thou in God, for I shall yet praise him who is the health of my countenance. In one presence, error has no law and no lasting effect, and the whisper of mortality, finding no echo in you, loses its accent and is gone. Now let us audit relationships, because here is where the belief in two powers hides under the noblest costumes: love, loyalty, duty, and if you are not watchful, a voice tone or a text message will become your lord for the afternoon. Where today did you permit a personality to give or take your peace? Did a spouse's silence make you small? Did a supervisor's praise inflate you or his frown deflate you? That is the spot. In that very tremor, you have enthroned a second power. No man can serve two masters. The moment another's mood is master of your inner climate, you have yielded your jurisdiction. All right, see it, name it, and withdraw consent. Impersonalize at once. You are not dealing with a good person and a bad person. You are confronting a universal belief. Separation, domination, dependence wearing names and wedding rings. Henceforth know we no man after the flesh. Christ is the only identity. You see that? The Christ of your neighbor is not better than the Christ of your enemy, and not less than the Christ of your child. Refuse the caricatures, villain and victim, saint and sinner. Love your enemies. Bless them that curse you, not to make them behave, but because you will not recognize a second selfhood apart from God. When you withdraw the label, the heat has no hook to hang on. Never enter the case humanly. Never take sides, not even the side that cries most, not even the side that signs your check, not even your own remembered injuries. Principle over personalities. Who is my mother, and who are my brethren? Whosoever shall do the will of my Father. If harmony requires separation, let us have it. If it requires reunion, let us have it. Do not cling to form to avoid your fear. What God hath joined together is not a certificate. It is identity with identity. If what has been joined is not in God, let it fall without bitterness. If it is in God, it will stand without strain. Now the method. Listen, bless, be silent. Do not advise, do not fix, do not quote truth at a trembling face. Enter your closet, silently behold the Christ where the quarrel claims to be, and wait until spiritual rightness announces itself, sometimes as a softening in your own chest before a word is said, sometimes as a phone call that arrives uncoached, sometimes as a quiet signing of papers with no residue of hate. A soft answer turneth away wrath, yes, but the softness must be born of non-reaction, not of strategy. When you feel the tug to win, to explain, to remember who did what in 2009, stop, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Let there be that split second of naked stillness. It is I. Be not afraid. I have sat between husbands and wives, partners and partners, mothers and grown sons, and the overcoming never came by endorsing one narrative and punishing another. It came when sides vanished and identity remained. Again and again, when principle was honored over personalities, harmony appeared unforced, not always as the picture you once cherished, but as peace that did not need a picture to breathe. Love never faileth, because love is not sentiment, it is the recognition of one. Harmony is spiritual identity revealed, not sides winning or forms preserved. Keep your eyes single, and relationships will cease to be courts of appeal and become windows where the one looks upon itself and rests. Now comes the deconstruction, and it is the gentlest scalpel you will ever hold. This has nothing to do with this person. This is not your husband's temper, your boss's greed, your child's stubbornness, your own alleged inadequacy. This is the pressure of a universal belief presenting itself as a face, as a voice, as a symptom, as a bill. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, said Paul, but against principalities, against powers. Do you see? Not real powers, apparent pressures, hypnotic generalities. The moment you take it personally, you tie the knot tighter around your own throat. Lift guilt and lift pride in one motion, because they are the same rope. Personalizing error binds it, personalizing virtue binds it too. I of mine own self can do nothing is not pious talk. It is emancipation from both shame and applause. If you missed the mark yesterday, all right, you were consenting to a universal suggestion of fear, lack, or self-will. Withdraw consent now. If you seemed to do splendidly yesterday, all right, do not wear it as a medal. Let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth. The only doer is the one. There is only one power, and not as force, but as presence. Here is the practice that cuts the cord to the phantom law. Stop, close the inner door, and let this rise. not as a chant, but as jurisdiction. Right now, I deny any authority to this universal suggestion. Name it if you must, of fear, of separation, of contagion, of debt, of injustice, and then let even the names go. You are not arguing. You are unplugging. You are refusing to be the host on which that suggestion feeds. Without your consent, it has no law, no court, no bailiff to enforce it. The prince of this world cometh, and hath nothing in me, nothing to touch, nothing to answer. Now stabilize in mercy. Treat yourself and others tenderly while you refuse the lie of two powers. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Do not scold the mesmerized. Do not shame the sleeper. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Includes you when you are swept. The refusal is firm. The heart is soft. Hold no record of wrong or of right. Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. The going and the no more arise of themselves when the pressure is lifted and the person is not the target. You may ask, does this excuse harm? No. It dissolves its seeming law. You cannot heal what you hate as a person. You can only move furniture on the deck. Withdraw the personality from the dock and the case collapses. We are not naive. We are exact. The next time a flare rises, an insult, a symptom, a headline catch, the reflex that names a culprit, stop. Whisper within. Right now, I deny any authority to this universal suggestion and wait a breath until you feel the shoulders drop, the jaw unclench. That soft click is consent retracting. That is the wall removed, and the echo must fade. So the rule is simple and portable. When appearances accuse or flatter, shift the lens from person to principle, from blame to impersonal nothingness. Deny authority. Be still, extend mercy, and let the one have its perfect work. Measure not by the picture's speed, but by the quiet that returns. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. In that meeting, error, finding no host in you, falls back into the nothingness from which it pretended to come. Now we must say the quiet thing plainly. Nobody by taking thought can contact God. Do you see that? The mind, with its noble truths and its tidy verses, cannot deliver presence to you any more than a map can deliver you to the mountain. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. The letter, our right statements, our rehearsed assurances can point, but it cannot pour. God is not mind, not power, not an improved idea you can hold up against a worse one. Nobody knows what God is. And because nobody knows, nobody can reach by thinking. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, which is not a room. It is the place where thought is willing to stop being clever, to stop even being correct, and to fall silent. There must come, then, a split second, do not make it long or dramatic, in which the mind yields, not a technique, not timing the pause, not counting breaths, just a surrender of the compulsion to speak, even to speak truth. Forget all the truth you know for a moment and wait. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and recite, be still and know. The knowing is not conceptual. It is the soft, unpurchased sense of presence that announces itself without your help. The still, small voice that does not argue and does not explain. Often it arrives as a release, like a hand ungripping from your chest. Sometimes as a warmth without a source. Sometimes as no sensation at all, only the absence of strain. That is the click. If you try to make it, you will miss it. If you wait unanxious, it appears when it pleases, and that is its guarantee. All right, trust the presence. I, God, am the solution to all problems. Not my statements about God. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Do not rush from the click to see if the storm has obeyed your silence. That is bargaining. That is to abide a breath longer. Let the hush do its own work in its own way. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. World peace requires proof. This peace is proof, and the forms will follow as they must. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And proceedeth means now, not memory. We live by what is heard in the silence, not by what is remembered for emergencies. Practice this anywhere, everywhere. At dawn, sit and close the inner door. Say nothing, want nothing, wait until wanting itself thins. At noon, let 3 breaths be bare of request on a crowded street. In the night, lay a hand upon your heart and listen without words until the pulse finds its older rhythm. If no click comes, do not press. If drowsiness takes you, let it. If tears rise, let them pass without story. Our interest is not in experiences, not in lights or sounds, but in yielding jurisdiction. The kingdom of God is within you, not in the phrasing, not in the teacher, not in the method, within. And from that within, when it has been contacted even for a blink, life moves differently, actions are taken without the grit of self-will, and what needed doing does itself. Keep your eye single. Talk less. Listen more. When words are required, they will come from the well, not from the fence around it. Let us open the ledger and read it as witnesses, not as advocates. In San Francisco, there was a labor case. You would have recognized the names on the buildings and the Union Hall, and it would have been very easy to react, to call one side greedy and the other reckless, to put on the white hat you think you own. I told the one that engaged me, I am not on your side. I am not on their side. I am not even on my side. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. So we entered no opinion, offered no tactic, took no phone calls after a certain hour, and sat in the hush 5 minutes here, an hour there, until the inner click erased the appetite to win. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth, and we let him. The next morning an unforeseen settlement rose of itself, a third provision neither party had considered, a schedule rearranged, a safety clause expanded, wage and dignity acknowledged without a loser to be humiliated, not by pressure, not by cleverness, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Do you see? Principle honored over personalities, harmony unforced. In a small home on Maui, 2 children sleeping, 2 adults not there, was turmoil that had memorized its lines. Each came wanting me to help them win. I would not enter the case humanly. I gave no advice, not about budgets, not about in-laws, not about who apologized last spring. We sat and affirmed identity silently. Christ is the only identity here, not husband flesh, not wife flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. And if what has been joined is not in God, let it part without malice. If it is of God, let it stand without strain. For 3 evenings we refused to take sides. We waited until the tug to save a form had no hook in us, and then in its own time the form declared itself, a truer union that dropped its old weapons and learned to speak softly, or, in other homes, a peaceful parting with no residue of hate, co-parenting born without a court's command. Blessed are the peacemakers, not because they arrange outcomes, but because they refuse 2 powers where only one is. In Los Angeles, a body was pronounced finished, and the room had that sound, machines, footsteps, the hush that is not holy. We did not argue with numbers. We did not command breath to return as if we were running a dock. We took the night and kept a vigil without words. Be still and know that I am God. That is what we did. We were still, and we knew, as best we could, that hour. The fear in us quieted first. The clutching loosened. The pressure to bargain fell away. A line from the Gospels rose, uncoached, It is I, be not afraid, and then nothing but the soft sense of presence. By grace, not argument, life resumed its own rhythm, color returned, breath evened, and the room, though unchanged in furniture, was changed in atmosphere. Sometimes the outer turned swiftly, sometimes it waited, but always the governance was felt before the picture obeyed. I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of the Lord is not a boast. It is the recognition that law is one. Again and again, the same lesson writes itself across the pages. Effectiveness follows non-reaction plus contact. Personality pressure does nothing but prolong the night. Never enter the case humanly. Never crown a second power, not even the one that pays your fee, not even the one that wears your ring, not even the one that beats in your chest. Sit, be still, let the one be itself where you are, and watch how harmony appears, not forced, not argued, not tallied, appears, because where one is realized, there is nothing left to oppose it. Great peace have they which love thy law, and you will see that peace, not your push, is what heals labor, home, and body without leaving a victor or a victim behind. Now, there are moments, you know them, when all your right statements rattle like coins in a tin, and the appearance does not budge. You have refused sides, you have sat quiet, and still it looms. All right? Now we touch the lever Jesus named, and he did not use it carelessly. This kind goeth not out but by prayer and fasting, not more words, not louder effort, not nobler argument, prayer and fasting. Do you see that? Fasting first, the withdrawal from all human statements of truth, all mental effort to arrange a result, all bargaining, all inner commentary. You close the door not only to the world, but to your own workshop of spiritual slogans. Forget all the truth, Stop leaning on thoughts, even correct ones. You are not refusing food. You are refusing the mind's compulsion to cook. Then prayer, and not the asking kind. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, not to inform God, not to remind God of promises, not to get God to be power against a problem. God is not power. Nobody knows what God is. Prayer here is stillness that waits until presence announces itself. Be still and know that I am God. Not be still and demand. Be still and know. There must come that split second, let it be a minute, if it will, in which the will slackens, the timetable is dropped, the outcome is dismissed from the room, and you wait without a project. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Seeing comes after stillness. Stillness is first. Here is the protocol. Sit, surrender. No agenda, no timetable. Put the clock face down if you must. Do not reach for the next verse. Do not test your temperature. Do not peek at the phone. Let the wave of peace arrive before you move a real wave, not a resolve to be calm. If a phrase rises of itself, it is I. Be not afraid, let it pass through and dissolve. If nothing rises, excellent. Nothing is required. Wait until the shoulders drop without your order, until the inner noise is embarrassed into silence, until even the wish to be done is gone. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. When the click comes, sometimes as warmth, sometimes as release, sometimes as the bare absence of strain, abide a breath longer, then rise lightly and let the day shape itself. And the result? Not a fixed appearance on command, not magic. The first fruit is the dissolution of fear. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace is jurisdiction. In that climate, order reappears by its own government forms. Rearrange, or they do not, but the tyranny is ended. Often, the picture follows meekly. The pain quiets. The letter changes tone. The face softens. The path opens. Sometimes the outer lingers, while the inner is already free. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. When all else fails, stop everything. Fast from thought, pray by silence, and do not move until the one is felt. Then you will find there was never a second power to put out, only a fog that could not survive the dawn. Now let us speak of timing, because if you have tasted even a drop of that hush and then rushed to the window to see if the weather has obeyed, you have stepped back into two. Don't look at your demonstration day by day. Do you see that? Don't check the thermometer every hour. Don't refresh the bank account 5 times before lunch. Don't measure the child's progress with a ruler in your pocket. First the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. Let maturity bring to light. If you judge by dailies, you will turn harvest into homework and peace into pressure. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. Rest first. Evidence can follow when it will. Accept seasons. Saul of Tarsus did not take one blinding and go out in the morning to teach the world by evening. There were long inward years, call it 9 if you like, when roots were going down where no one could applaud. To everything there is a season and a time, to every purpose under the heaven. The farmer does not dig up the seed each dawn to see if it believes. He waters, keeps watch, and lets the dark do its holy work. Be not weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. Due season, not due Tuesday. And in winter, when branches look like broken fingers, the sap is faithful out of sight. Do not fear winters. Let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Patience is not delay. It is consent to God's governance of sequence, release management. Your interest is not to make a picture bend. Your interest is to live from principle and let pictures be managed by the one that knows how. If the one that hired you wants to lose, that is his business. If the house you love wants to sell itself at a loss, that is its business. You are not engaged to secure human victories. You are consecrated to refuse 2 powers and bear witness to one. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. So do your work quietly, faithfully, then lay down the stopwatch and the scoreboard. If spiritual harmony can only be achieved through what the world calls a loss, all right, let us have it. Principle over personalities. Outcomes left to God. And how shall we measure growth? By ease. Not headlines, not applause, not numbers that impress the cousins. The fruit of ripening is this. You react less, and when you do, you come back quicker. The shoulders drop sooner. The jaw unclenches before the story finishes. The inner click arrives without drama. Great peace have they which love thy law. That peace is the metric. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Ease is not laziness. It is the felt absence of warfare. So trust divine timing. Do not force sprouts or fear winters. Refuse daily scoring. Stand faithful in the unseen root, and let maturity bring to light what only the one can ripen. All right. If we are to refuse tallying and let maturity bring to light, we must also have a simple rule for the hours, a rhythm that carries us so quietly that we are living from presence before any picture can recruit us. 3 movements: recognition, impersonalization, silence, morning, noon, and night. Not to make life behave, you see, not to get God to be power against a problem, but to keep the heart in one so that reaction has no foothold. Morning, consecration by recognition. Before the headlines, before the lists, let the first awareness be this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. One. Not a bigger power to fight the smaller. One without opposite. Say it softly if it rises, or let it simply be the air you breathe. I shall have no other gods before me. This is not making a vow to win the day. It is yielding jurisdiction for the day. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Then look out at the hours like an unplanted field and refuse to seed it with fear or desire. No projects for God, no bargains. Recognize and rest. God is not power. God is presence. And where presence is acknowledged, opposition has nowhere to perch. Still in the morning, set the watch of impersonalization. Quietly determine, gently, without strain, that every appearance that crosses your threshold will be met as universal suggestion and not as person. The prince of this world cometh and hath nothing in me. Right now, I deny authority to any suggestion of fear, lack, delay, or domination. It is not my voice, not their voice, but a general breeze without law. Withdraw consent before the wind finds your sail. Then give a minute. No more is needed to silence. Be still and know that I am God. Wait until the shoulders drop by themselves, until there is the soft yes, the unpurchased ease. Now go to your breakfast without hurry. Midday, reset. At some point the world has made its case. An email, a tone, a symptom, a number. Stop where you are, desk, hallway, car park, and move through the triad in brief. Recognition, one presence here, right here, no opposite in this corridor, in this report. Impersonalization. This is not my critic, not my body, not my past. This is a universal claim trying the door. I withdraw consent. Silence. 30 seconds of naked waiting until the inner yes appears. No mantra pressed, only willingness. If the yes does not come, wait without fret. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Then act or do not act, but let the doing be born of the hush, not of adrenaline. Never enter the case humanly. Evening. Relinquishment. Close the day by returning all forms to the one. Recognition. Thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory. Not mine, not theirs. Impersonalization. Lay down blame. Lay down pride. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, and include yourself in the mercy. Let the day's frictions dissolve back into the sea of general suggestion with no name tags left on them. Silence. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Do not plan the morrow. Take no thought for the morrow. Sleep as if there were only one life living itself, because there is. This is the rule. Recognize. 1. Impersonalize the lie. Enter the hush, morning to set the tone, noon to keep the tone, night to return the tone to its giver. 3 movements. Many times, lightly, pray without ceasing, not by many words, but by many yieldings. Keep this cadence, and you will find you are living from presence and appearances, lacking your reaction, pass through you as shadows through light. Now, when the world shouts, you do not need a dissertation, you need a drill. In a minute and a half, you can step out of the war and back into one. Do you see that? Not to change the picture, not to win an argument with a headline, but to remove your consent from the belief in 2 powers. Non-reaction is the method and the proof. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So here is the on-the-spot protocol, simple, exact, portable. First, stop. Wherever you are, doorway, car, corridor, be still. Drop the shoulders, soften the belly, feel the weight in the feet. Let the jaw unclench. Breathe, but do not command it, just notice it. Say inwardly, clear and quiet, I refuse 2 powers. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. No second mind, no second cause, no second law. right here where the ringing phone or the diagnosis or the bank alert seems to be. One is, without opposite. Never enter the case humanly. Stop. Soften. Feel the ground. I refuse two powers. Second, name the universal belief at play and strip it of law. Call it plainly for what it claims to be. Fear of loss, contagion, condemnation, time pressure, injustice. Say within, this is a universal suggestion without authority. It is not my thought, not their will, not a God. The prince of this world cometh and hath nothing in me. Right now I deny any law to this suggestion, no law of lack, no law of infection, no law of failure, no law of haste. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, because there is no law behind the weapon. You are unplugging, not arguing. You are refusing to be the host. Third, enter silence. Cease naming, cease denying, and wait. Be still, and know that I am God. One unforced breath, that is not fear, that is all we ask. Let the thought stream pass like carts in the street. Do not board. 30 seconds, 60. Do not count. Do not grade. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Sometimes a warmth arrives, sometimes a release, sometimes only the absence of push. That is the click. If no sensation comes, remain willing without strain. The point is not experience. The point is jurisdiction returning to one. Move only from the peace that arrives. Otherwise, continue to do nothing. When the breath has softened of itself, when the yes is in the chest, then answer the call, then speak, then sign or do not. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That peace is your green light. Without it, do nothing outward. If you can. If you must move, move gently, and keep the inward hush. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. If the peace is absent, extend the stillness a few moments more. Better a paused tongue than a reactive torrent. Try it in the boardroom when the email stings. Stop, refuse two powers, name the pressure, reputation, time, approval, enter the hush, then answer or wait. Try it at the bedside when a symptom shouts, stop, refuse two powers, name contagion as lawless, breathe the unpurchased breath, then act as guided without fear. Try it when a child cries and your history surges. Stop, soften, feel the floor, withdraw consent from blame, be still, and then hold, comfort, or correct from peace, not panic. Peace, be still. In 90 seconds, you can step out of the war and back into one. Carry this with you, street, meeting, midnight. Lo, I am with you alway. Where that presence is felt, opposition has no perch, and you, lacking reaction, become a transparency, for law to be law and peace to govern what pictures cannot. Sabbath, then, is not a square on a calendar or a brick building with a steeple. Sabbath is the cessation of inner warfare wherever you are. The Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. You see that? Free the form. Do not make a god of hours or architecture. Holiness is not time-locked or place-locked. Holiness is presence realized, here, now, whether you are on a wooden pew or on a bus with a strap in your hand. Jesus said, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father, but the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Spirit and truth are portable. Carry the altar. Your body is not a carriage for worry. Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost? If temple, then altar within, and you need not run anywhere to kneel. How shall we live this? By refusing two powers on the move. In the corridor where voices rise, let the inward hush answer first, and you will find the hallway become sanctuary, The tile is just as holy as any aisle. In the car, when the lanes close and the clock nags, stop inwardly, drop the shoulders. Remember one, in him we live and move and have our being, and the wheel is an altar rail under your hands. In the meeting where accusation plays for your consent, never enter the case humanly. Turn within and let the recognition of one dissolve the bait. You do not need a kneeler. You need non-reaction plus contact, and then any floor is holy ground. Draw nigh to God, and he will draw nigh to you. Draw nigh by silence, not by travel. Release religious guilt. Missing a ritual is nothing. Missing presence is everything. If you were not in the service last Sunday, all right, were you in spirit last Monday in the grocery line? That is the question. Do not count attendances, keep the flame. If you lit the candle at dawn and then carried resentment all day, you blew it out by noon. Better no candle and a single unforced breath of God contact in an elevator than a week of ceremonies without hush. Take no thought includes the fear of not doing devotion correctly. God is not flattered by your punctuality. God is not power. Nobody knows what God is. But when you are still in spirit and in truth, the proof is peace and the fruit is love. And see how love flows when there is no second power to fear. Service ceases to be project and becomes overflow. You give the seat before thinking. You send the note without rehearsing. You pay the bill for the one behind you without a sermon about generosity. You speak the soft word that turns away wrath with no strategy in it at all. Perfect love casteth out fear. Where fear is gone, there is no tally, no who owes whom, no who deserves. Harmony appears because you did not crown an opposite. This is consecration in motion. You walk the world as Sabbath, not as a soldier of outcomes, but as a transparency of one. Anywhere, anytime, you can live where no second power enters. Keep watch, refuse reaction, carry the altar, and let love do what love does when it is not conscripted by anxiety, quiet, exact, unforced good that leaves no victor and no victim, only God being God where you are. All right? We end where we began and where we must always begin. Be not afraid. The enemy is never a person, never a virus, never a balance sheet, never a date on a calendar. The enemy is the belief in two powers. Do you see that? When you are tempted to make a villain of your neighbor or a tyrant of your symptom or a god of your paycheck, remember that is the bait. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. The kingdom is one, not a better side to join, not a stronger force to enlist, but presence without opposite. God is not power. Nobody knows what God is. But where one is realized, opposition cannot stand, because there is nothing for it to stand upon. Therefore, the path is plain. Principle over personalities, silence over speech, presence over outcomes. Never enter the case humanly. Never desire to change appearances. Refuse to take sides, not even the side that hires you, not even the side that wears your face in the mirror. Keep to the middle path where we neither fear, love, nor hate any appearance. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. We seal it now. Let this be your vow. I will not react. I will not take sides. I will not try to change the picture. I will let God have its perfect work. Let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Say it softly if you must. Better yet, live it without saying, and keep the audit on the hour, gently, without strain. Money, lack, debt, windfalls, no law, no power. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Supply is the activity of presence. Stop tallying the coins and start consenting to the flow. Health, germs, genetics, the whisper of mortality, no law, no power. I am the Lord that healeth thee, not by warring with a second force, but by being all. Deny the supposed law of contagion its passport. Withdraw consent from inherited fears. Relationships. No sides, only identity. Henceforth know we no man after the flesh. Seek Christ as the only identity. Let forms arrange or release themselves without malice. Harmony is revealed character, not victory. And when tremor rises, return to the hush. Use your three movements: recognition, impersonalization, silence, and if the wind howls, use your 90 seconds. Refuse two powers. Name the universal suggestion. Be still until the click, then move only from peace. My peace I give unto you. Live so. Portable altar, portable Sabbath, portable courage. Now go out unafraid. Be of good cheer. It is I. Be not afraid. If God be for us, who can be against us? Not as a battle cry, but as a recognition that there is only one, and in that one nothing opposes you. Walk quietly, carry the altar, let love flow without a project. Judge not by appearance. Keep watch, and the signs will follow, not as prizes, but as the natural light of a life that refuses to. Lo, I am with you always. That is enough.